Thank you, Dan. It's 6 minutes after the hour. It's Wednesday, hump day. It's hump day, Wednesday, August 28, 2019, 51 degrees outside. Shane Matobin, half man, half amazing, joins me on our Newsmaker line, and Tommy Galoff, your morning mayor. And this is the KMMS Morning Soapbox, and we're glad to have you along with us. Thanks for taking time out of your day to take us wherever you're going on your morning journey. And morning, Shane, how you doing?
Great. Good morning, Gallatin Valley. Have more babies.
That's right. Well, I don't know about that.
Well, you got to do a high school. Your primary school is relatively new.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there's so much you're ready for. I mean, everybody's waiting for everybody to get up to the counter.
You think so? Okay.
Get that table at home loaded.
All right. Well, let's see. Boy, it's going to be a really nice day today, Shane. It's 87 degrees, sunny, and that's our high for the day, 87 right now. We're at 51, but we'll get up there, I'm quite sure. And tonight, it's going to be clear, but it's going to be a little chilly. 49 is the overnight low, man. That's a big drop from 87 to 49.
Yeah, that's right.
But that makes good sleeping, though. It's good sleeping weather. It's not 87 at night and humidity of 90%.
Yeah, you see a little bit cutting in your AC bill.
Yeah, that's for sure. On Thursday, we got a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms coming in, probably right afternoon, increasing clouds, but we'll still have a high near 80. And then Thursday night, we'll have another chance of showers and thunderstorms, low about 51 on Thursday night. And then Friday, another slight chance of showers and showers and thunderstorms afternoon, mostly sunny with a high of 79, and chance of precip on Friday is about 40%. Chance of precip Thursday night is 50%. I missed that one. And on Friday night, you got a 40% chance again of showers and thunderstorms, probably before midnight, and a low of 51. Then Saturday, it's going to be great. Great weekend. Sunny with a high near 84. No chance of precip Saturday rather. And Saturday night, 54 will be the overnight low, mostly clear. And then Sunday, it's sunny, high of 87. And Sunday night, mostly clear with a low around 53. So going to be a really nice weekend for you. We'll have a little showers here for the next couple of days. But Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, get out there. And Labor Day, it's going to be sunny with a high of 84. There is a slight chance of thunderstorms Monday night, Labor Day evening, but not anything to worry about. So enjoy your 3-day weekend. Shane and I are going to take off on Monday, so we won't be here, but that will be we'll have something for you somehow or other. We always do.
You can always, if you really miss us, download, because we are ramping up the interest in our downloads of previous shows. So, you know, if you've missed a show in the past, you can listen to it on Monday.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, we're 9 downloads short of 1,400 downloads since we've been here. So wow, that's more amazing to me that the support we get from you guys out there. We really appreciate it. We don't take it lightly at all. So,
and you gals, we love you gals calling in. I especially do.
Well, I know you do. But
I enjoy talking with you alone during the commercials. So if you women are going to call in, please call in during the commercials so we can have a private conversation.
That's right. ShaneMatch.com, Montalban will be with you.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Temperatures around the area right now. Livingston's 44 degrees and clear. Manhattan is 43 and clear. Three Forks 43. Let's see. Gallatin Gateway is 47 and Ennis is 47. Big Sky 46. And at the airport over in Belgrade is 45 degrees right now. And we're all the way up to 52. I don't know if that temperature at the airport's right or not. Can't believe we got that much difference between.
Oh, an airport would lie? Come on.
I know. I don't know. So anyway, we'll see what they're. But anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
You got to wear it now, buddy.
I got to wear it all day long. So, well, I ordinarily I wouldn't go back to 1609 for this day in history, but English sea explorer Henry Hudson reached present-day Delaware Bay, and the reason that we only bring that up is the Hudson Bay Company was a major deal at the time when America was growing, and of course this was before the Pilgrims landed in 1620. So this is it was quite a company.
Yeah, and he was originally funded by the Dutch East India Company that, of course, went bankrupt because of the South Seas affair in the 1700s. But interestingly enough, he did discover the Hudson Bay and was searching on his third trip in 1611 for the Northwest Passage. And after wintering on shore at James Bay, his crew mutinied and cast him, his son, and 7 others into a boat awash on Hudson Bay, and he was never seen again.
Wow.
But the namesake for him is, of course, Hudson's Bay Company, which still survives today, famous for its Canadian character clothing.
There you are.
Like the Mounties,
the Mountie uniforms and the hats with the ear flaps. Is that what you're known for?
No, I'm talking about the Mountie blanket.
The Mountie blanket. Oh.
Red, green, and yellow. Color. You're tough. You're tough. All right. Leo Tolstoy, he was a great guy. Tell everybody. He was born in
1828 on this date. Novelist Leo Tolstoy. He was born near Tula, Russia. And of course, novelist of some note at that time, back in the 1800s.
That's right, and it's amazing because he wrote some just incredible stuff like War and Peace.
Yeah.
Anna Karenina.
Yeah.
Really a great movie. Dr. Zhivago is sort of based on that. And that's it's childhood and boyhood, and anyway, never won a Nobel Peace Prize. He was nominated 6 times.
Yeah,
sort of unfortunate, but died broke. He wasn't like he was well regarded in Russia, but they didn't buy a lot of books back then, right?
I guess apparently,
especially when they were 700 pages long.
I was going to say, if you want to read War and Peace, start when you're 40 because you'll be dead before you finish it. Otherwise, it's a long book. It's really long. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, in 1922, radio became became damaged, I would say, because the first radio commercial aired on WEAF in New York City. First commercial. I'm not sure what it was, but it was probably for Noxatril.
Oh my God, it's so bad. All right, folks. AM radio station licensed in New York City from 1922 to 1988. Wow. This was the flagship radio station for NBC, National Broadcasting Corporation, for those of you who not know the anagram.
Yep.
Radio network. It was a Class A clear channel station broadcasting at a maximum power for AM radio, 50,000 watts, which limited its distance.
Yeah.
Anyway, first advertising, first contract that they arranged for the use of music. Took a lot of work to put it all together, and we still have it today.
Yes, we do.
Even in FM form. Now, do you listen to FM?
Me?
Yeah.
Only XL Country.
Oh my God, that's good.
Yeah.
You like country music?
Well, the wife does. Whenever we go anywhere, we have to put it on XL Country. Okay. Or I listen to KMMS.
You are so good, Eagle Man. I mean, you just.
You got. I'm a loyal guy. You got to be.
You got to be loyal, baby. You got to be loyal.
They may not be very loyal to me, but I'm. Anyway, that's a whole other story. 1955, Emmett Till, an African-American teenager from Chicago, was abducted from his uncle's home in Money, Mississippi by 2 white men after he was accused of whistling at a white woman. He was found murdered 3 days later. That just goes to show you don't come down to Money, Mississippi from Chicago and start whistling.
No, it's not only that, but I've driven through that part of the United States, and you do not want to speed either.
No, you don't. No,
whether you're white or black,
yeah.
Those guys down there, and they have the judge available, so they'll
I know, they'll take you right down to the court, and you pay right there, and you're out the door, yeah.
Or you don't
go anywhere. Yeah, you stay in jail.
Yeah, you go to jail, baby. Yeah, there's a strange group of people. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, of course, in 1968, one of the big news stories of, probably of the 60s, I guess, was the police and anti-war demonstrators clashed in the streets of Chicago as the Democratic National Convention nominated Hubert Humphrey for president. And we've talked about this before, Shane, that the demonstrators demonstrated at both conventions. They were anti-war, period. It wasn't Republican or Democrat or anything like that. They filled the streets of Chicago, and the police were there, and they banging people with batons and everything, and the news media picked it all up, and those were the days when demonstrators, it was the cause, not the party.
That's correct.
That's right. So if you didn't like something, you would demonstrate against it, but it wasn't all Democrats or all Republicans. These folks showed up at both conventions and demonstrated their displeasure with the Vietnam War at the time. So
that's right. It was it was held in Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah, I know.
The wrong family ran that place.
Richard Daley, was the mayor Daley. At the time. Yeah,
and most demonstrations also back in the 60s were peaceful. They weren't really violent.
No, this was a change. There've been plenty of demonstrations in Haight-Ashbury and places like that. And, people, hated hippies and whatever, I guess. But, whether they were Republican or Democrat or whatever they were, they put their priority ahead of party. So
that's right.
That was
but it had been a really bad spring and summer because of the death or assassinations of Martin Luther King,
right,
and Bobby Kennedy in June. And there's been over 100 riots in 100 cities in the United States.
Yeah.
So it was one of those perfect storms that sort of came together at the Democratic Convention.
It really did. Yeah, it was quite a deal. So
Humphrey and Muskie. Humphrey and Muskie is, if you didn't remember.
That was it, yeah. All right, we got to take care of our farmers, ranchers, cab drivers, truck drivers, all those folks out there in the Northwestern Ford dealers, and we got one of those stupid podcast things too. So, hey, stay tuned. We'll be right back. 25 minutes after the hour. It's Wednesday, August 28, 2019, 51 degrees outside. Looking for a high in the high 80s today, Shane. So, one thing we forgot in this day in history, in 1963, more than 200,000 people listened to Reverend Martin Luther King deliver his I Have a Dream speech. That was today in 1963, and I forgot to do that one when we were going through our list here. And also from our text line, on August 28th, let me find it here. Let's see. August 28th, 1941, 23,000 Hungarian Jews are murdered by the Gestapo, occupied Ukraine. The German invasion of the Soviet Union had advanced to the point of mass air raids on Moscow and the occupation of parts of Ukraine. So there you go from our text line. And in 1981, on this date, John Hinckley John Hinckley Jr., I should say, pleaded innocent to charges of attempting to kill President Ronald Reagan. So that was a day. You're not supposed to eat while you're on the air. You're not supposed to be eating stuff.
I'm having a cookie.
Yeah.
He also wounded police officer Thomas Delaney. Mm-hmm. And Secret Service Tim McCarthy, and even more importantly, the press secretary James Brady, that led to gun restriction laws.
The Brady Bill. Yep.
The Brady Bill.
Yeah.
Baby.
So quite a a lot of things came out of that one episode there
That's
on
correct,
this date in 1981. Well, in 1996, Democrats nominated President Bill Clinton for a second term at their national convention in Chicago. So,
that's right, and it was incredible. I mean, he was under investigation, and he had a whole bunch of issues with Whitewater. And his wife was under investigation, and everybody knew from Arkansas it was like one big real estate deal that went bad for everybody.
The Rosa Law Firm and all the groups back then, they were having a high old time, man. These two were quite a couple, man. They were quite a deal.
That's right. I mean, and his the 94 elections that he had, because this was 96.
Yeah.
But the 94 election was huge. It was the first time in 40 years that the Democrats since FDR had won the White House, the House, and the Senate.
Yeah.
And he had this whole different attitude that the age of big government was gone, and he got rid of a whole bunch of stuff. He really did.
Yeah. Can you imagine one party holding the House and the Senate for 40 years? Can you just imagine that?
Incredible.
I mean, ooh.
Yeah.
Well,
no wonder they didn't get anything done.
No. Well, in 1996, this was also from our text line, too. Britain's Prince Charles and Princess Diana were divorced after 15 years of marriage, and I couldn't figure out why she married him in the first place. Holy smokes, man.
I hate to say it, but breeding.
Well, that must be it. I don't know, but...
she was a steward.
Yeah.
No, really, she was a steward.
Yeah.
So his and her son, who's the heir, will be the first steward on the throne of England in 1,000 years in a millennium.
Yeah.
So
if the Queen ever decides to check out, what is she now, 102 or 50 or whatever she's? I mean, geez, if she ever checks out, it's going to be bad.
I mean, I don't know anything that she does physically.
Well, I wander around the palace, I think, is all she does. Two other quick things. In 2005, New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin ordered everybody in the city to evacuate ahead of Hurricane Katrina. Of course, that was a big disaster. And 2008, Barack Obama accepted the Democratic presidential nomination with a speech at Invesco Field in Denver with the columns and the whole 9 yards, and everybody was getting free phones and their mortgage paid for, and life was going to be just amazing.
And then he continued to redistribute the wealth of the United States to China.
Right.
$5 trillion in wealth. He just bled it away, baby.
We'll be right back with local stuff right after this. 25 minutes for the top of the hour. It is Wednesday, August 28th, 2019. Mike McCormick will join us this morning. 51 degrees outside, 70. We're looking for a high of, in the high 80s today, Shane, so it should be pretty nice. Shane Taubman joins me, Vancouver, British Columbia, half man, half amazing. Tom Eagle up, your morning mayor. This is the KMMS Morning Soapbox, and thanks for taking us along with you. From our text line, Diana was a Spencer, if you remember that, Shane.
Or Spencer,
Yeah,
Spencer.
yeah. She was a commoner, I believe, wasn't she, I think?
Nope.
No, she...
Her parents weren't.
Yeah, they were a big deal.
A Spencer, I'm sorry, not a Stewart, a Spencer.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I apologize for getting that wrong.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, she was a Spencer.
But there's an old English story that the next Spencer to sit on the crown of England will be the last king of England.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's an interesting situation.
Yeah. Well, her offspring is going to be will be the next king if the
Charles drops.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I don't think he's going to give that up. He's been waiting way too long.
He's been waiting a long time, so you think he'll be king and whatever?
Oh yeah, and he wants to insult the country with Camilla and make her queen just to be obnoxious.
Oh, God! Talk about two horse faces.
Oh, in the corral. No, the barn.
Yeah.
No, in front of the carriage. Yeah, well, it's been everywhere because everybody knows everything.
I'm going to say, if she's there with the horses, they'll give her a sugar cube, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
terrible, Eagle. I mean, I didn't even come up with something like that. Oh my God.
well, he's 70.
I'll be really rude and say I
Yeah.
prefer to give her a big carrot.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, Charles is 70. He was born November 14th, 1948. So he's younger than I am. That sucks. He'll probably be there forever. Yeah.
Baby boomer.
Yeah.
45 to 65. Yeah.
Yeah. Duchess of Cornwall, Camilla
That's right,
is.
baby.
Yeah. They were married in 2005.
Yeah.
So,
Well, he actually picked that name because it was one of the largest estates that the Queen held, and he's actually, he's pretty much an earth kite. He's one of these guys who's a big organics guy, and he has in his village that supplies or sells all of his products. It's a big organic market there, and yeah, it's sort of cool. And I guess you could say it's in one of those situations where you have a personality that wants to lead the way to our better health.
Yep. Well, in local news, the county approved a $200 million budget, and they're going to stick us with a $2.8 million tax hike. That's going to help with the rest home, which was having financial woes. So the tax increase will allow the commissioners to increase their support for the rest home by $749,550, bringing tax support for the facility to $1.05 million for next year. So they decided to provide this one-time increase while they search for a suitable way to operate the facility. The rest home was financially self-sufficient for many years, but has recently struggled in part because Medicaid doesn't reimburse for the full cost of care there. So that's the issue. You got to have a supplemental plan of some kind to.
My favorite part of that line. This one time.
Yeah, the one time. Yeah. It's only going to be one time.
Because of course, in the future when they do it again, they won't go. That's 1 second time.
Yeah. Yeah. From our text line, we're talking about Prince Charles and Camilla. Let's hope the Queen has enough sense to pass over the horse faces and give the crown to William. I don't know if it's her choice or not. I think if you're in line, you're in line. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Queen has any say in who succeeds her. She might voice that desire, but I doubt seriously if they're going to entertain it.
Well, there's a one Wales issue, and to be crown king, you have to be Prince of Wales.
Yeah.
So Charles would have to give up that Prince of Wales right,
Mm-hmm.
and allow the Queen to crown herself, or him.
Okay.
So once Charles becomes king, he will crown his son, Prince of Wales, to be the heir to the throne. So.
All right. We gotta take a short break here. We'll be back in exactly 1 minute. Well, actually, it's 1 minute and 0.26 seconds, but anyway, close enough. We'll be right back. 18 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Wednesday, August 28th, 2019. Mike McCormick will join us coming up at, probably, I think he's doing it at 7, but we'll see. We've been kind of jockeying back and forth between 7 and 8, so but I think he's scheduled for 7 o'clock this morning, so we'll check that out when Mike gets here. Shane and Tobin on the line with me. Tom Eagle, off your morning mayor in the house, and let's, some other things in news. I want to get back to this rest home situation. That the increase in tax revenues will cover a $511,000 increase in employee health care costs, and the total county contribution to employee health care is now $2.9 million. And I'm pretty sure the county is self-insuring. I don't think they do a policy with anybody. I think they do it out of the funds.
Well, there you go.
So I could be wrong on that, but I believe that is it. Let's see. They did turn down some requests. they said was an effort to limit tax increases. The rejected requests included improvements to countywide computing systems. Well, we certainly don't want up-to-date computers. $100,000 for alcohol and drug services to compensate for lost grant money, and $92,000 for the Gallatin River Task Force, the local nonprofit looking to study options for wastewater treatment in Gallatin County. So they do have some difficult decisions to make on what to do with our money, and it's not a unlimited amount that they have. So it's so it's kind of a big deal. So let's see, in other news that's going on. Well, we're getting ready for the census, Shane. Census Bureau hires 500,000 workers, opens around 250 offices, and mails out a multitude of forms in English and 12 other languages to more than 130 million households. Why do we need 12 other languages? And as I said before, I refuse to answer the census. I didn't answer it in 2010. I'm not going to answer it now, other than to say there's 2 people live in the house, 1 male, 1 female, and that's it. That's all you're getting.
Well, I do think one of the qualifications to be a legal immigrant in the United States is you have to speak English.
Well, I would certainly a naturalized citizen. You do. You got to be able to take the oath.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, but it's a requirement.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. You got to be able to speak English.
Speak and read English.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly, there are a vast number of illegal people in your country that half your political, or one of your political parties, just don't want to account for.
Yeah. Well, if you really read the questions on the census,
exactly.
it's a shopping list of entitlements. That's all it is. It's a shopping list for who can get money that doesn't need it, or we'll decide if they need it or not, or whatever. But I don't know. We've all you have to do is look at the cities on the West Coast. Look at the homeless in L.A. Look at the homeless in Seattle. Look at them in San Francisco. Wherever you want to go, take your pick. Anywhere in any of those big cities run by and they're run by Democrats for the most part. Certainly California, all of California is run by Democrats, so not much you can do there. But
no.
But when you look at these entitlements, it's as though, okay, we're not going to do anything to help this homeless person get back on their feet. What we've decided to do is just give them money.
That's right.
That's it. Yeah. That's all we're going to do. Yeah, we're going to give them some money, and because the needles aren't cheap. I mean, you got to buy the needles, and those dime bags are not a dime.
That's right, baby.
So you got to get this stuff. You got to have all this. You got to, there's things the homeless need. You got to have a nice tent. Is Cabela offering free tents to homeless? I don't know. I haven't heard anything on that.
Just those free pop guns for the kids.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the potato guns. Yeah,
the potato guns.
Yeah. Now, I don't know. It seems like everybody's got tents now. You see them all up and down. Where do the tents come from?
It's they can't get them online, right? Because they don't have a credit card.
Well, or a computer.
Or a computer.
Well, they got a cell phone. I guess you could order on the cell phone, of course.
I don't know. I guess they went to, they went to a box store and bought them. Oh no, they would probably bought them at thrift stores.
Yeah. Well, that could be.
I'm sure there's a big market in thrift stores for tents in California.
You think so? Huh?
Sure.
Yeah. Tents are us. Come down. If you're homeless, we've got payments.
Exactly. All your needs, propane gas stoves and sleeping bags. And...
Right. Get a 1-bedroom tent, a 2-bedroom tent, a 3-bedroom tent for the price of a 4-bedroom tent.
Invite your neighbors in.
That's right. Bring your friends and neighbors. We got enough for the whole family. Come on down to Tent City. We're ready to go. We're ready to take care of you.
Can you imagine actually driving one by Tent City like a dealership, and they have all the tents
Yeah.
they have like 10 acres and it's covered in tents for you to buy to pick from.
Yeah, I got all this. Yeah, we got everything you need here. No problem at all. Yeah, we
And
got it all here.
And we exchange for bottles and cans.
That's right. Yeah, that's it. No down payment.
We're going down the rabbit hole, Tom.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. With every tent, you get a number 10 needle.
Ooh, that's really good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway. All right, we got to take a quick break here somewhere along the line. We're going to take it a little early just because it's a short one. Northwestern Ford dealers and the emergency, whatever that thing is, it beeps at you. We'll be right back. 9 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Wednesday, August 28, 2019, 51 degrees outside. We're looking for a high in the 80s. Mike McCormick will be joining us shortly, so stay tuned for that. From our text line, 478-8298, I think maybe the employee should pay their own health insurance just like the rest of us out there. Yep. And we could hand out government vouchers for free tents. Maybe that's what we need, yeah.
That would work well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Or the Bill Gates Foundation could buy a bunch of brand new ones.
Well, I don't know about that.
Oh, why not?
They're spending all their money in Africa. You can't.
Of course they are.
Can't help people in the United States. What are you, what are you nuts?
That wouldn't be.
What are you? Aren't they wiping out malaria and AIDS and whatever in foreign countries? Sure. Yeah. So yeah, by all means, let's get those people all taken care of. In other news, let's see other local stuff, I guess, going on. Is the city of Livingston, Shane, they're going to install car chargers over there.
Of course they are.
Yeah, so electric vehicles. Can you imagine trying to take an electric vehicle cross country?
Well, in our country, again, because we're a confederation,
of course,
it's only happened in Ontario and BC. But the great thing is the whole concept was your provincial government's going to set up these chargers for free. Yeah.
Wow.
Now you pay for it.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know. Let's see. The Livingston Public Works crew flipped the switch on electric vehicle charging station located on Clark Street, just west of Main Street, last weekend. The approximately $10,000 level 2 charging station was part of the larger $2 million Main Street infrastructure upgrade project that took place this summer. And the charging station takes up 2 parking spaces in the heavily trafficked business corridor. The parking spaces are for electric vehicles only. And however, the Main Street revamp increased the number of available parking spaces overall by switching over 3 downtown parking areas to angled parking rather than parallel parking, I guess. So we hope to bring in more visitors to spend money downtown, including electric vehicle drivers. So let's hope it works for them. And I don't know, the free electricity. You're tearing up our roads, and you're not paying any gas taxes, no electric taxes to help us out with that. So I'm not sure exactly how that. I'm not sure exactly how that works. The homeless need at least a 4-bedroom tent complete with running water and game room. They need to be able to keep up with the Joneses. Tom, this is liberal America. All right. Well, I'm all for that. Hey, I may buy one of those myself. If you got the running water and a game room, I'm down with that. So let's go there.
Your man cave, you mean?
My man cave. Yeah, I need my man cave there. I got to be able to watch football and, sit back with my adult beverage and have a good time. So that works pretty well. Yeah. Well, I hope the car chargers work down there. So I don't know. The limits on electric cars, I guess the driving a distance is the big bone of contention between electric and gas cars, because you can go 400 or 500 miles on a tank of gas with a lot of cars nowadays.
And find a gas station.
And find a gas station if you need one. But as far as electric, particularly here in the wintertime, because you've got to run a heater.
That's right.
And the electricity of that, I could see a hybrid where you run on gas part of the time and run on electricity part of the time. I could understand that more being better in this area. If you're in LA, of course, you could, you could just pull in somebody's house and plug in probably.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. But
they get about 300 miles per car charge, but
really,
that's great. It's great. It's a city car. It's not highway.
I was going to say, if you're driving, well, here, I just went to Helena the other day. Speed limit's 80 on I-90. So if you're driving 80 miles an hour with an air conditioner and, CD player and whatever else is going on, radio, all that stuff.
Well, I can't wait to hear that you've got an electric car because, now you can go to Yellowstone Park and roll your windows down.
Right, that'll...
Quiet. It'll be so quiet going through the park, you'll just enjoy yourself.
Yeah, that'll be the day when I get an electric car. I don't know. The wife's... the only thing the wife wants, she wants heated seats. So our next vehicle's got to have heated seats. So we got to work with those. We got to get a heated seat somewhere. So that's what she says. No more cars without heated seats. So we'll see.
Well, it's interesting because this new battery, lithium battery that Tesla's coming up with, they're claiming you'll be able to go 675 miles. So that's a big change.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, of course, that's traveling at 45 miles per hour.
Right. Yeah. Well, go ahead. I'm just trying to keep the thing going.
I hope you're looking for it to get there in weeks instead of days. That's all.
Okay. Yeah, that'll work. All right. Well, some people are wondering what's going on with Hobby Lobby. How come Hobby Lobby isn't open yet? It's been sitting there forever, and the short answer is we don't know. But from our website KMMSAM.com. Jesse James from XL Country wrote a brief article on it that it was supposed to be open this year, but earlier this year they were searching for employees for the new location, and then the store was originally supposed to open last March, but that day was pushed back, and we don't know why it was pushed back. So we reached out to Hobby Lobby for information and didn't get much there. We were informed an opening date has not yet been determined and will not happen in 2019. So it's going to be sometime in 2019 or 2020 before Hobby Lobby is open. And I'm a little surprised we don't have any demonstrators out front, but I guess it's because they haven't opened yet. The demonstrators got the signs all ready to go whenever they open, but I don't know. Let's see. I work on electric cars at one of the local dealerships, and the technology and the batteries is the weak point at this time. As soon as batteries evolve, we will have a reliable long-range electric vehicle, and I think that's true. Musk introduced tractor trailers recently. Now I don't know what the range of those things are, but a tractor trailer could, of course, hold bigger and more batteries probably than a conventional car would.
And they'll be run by artificial intelligence. So, that's a huge situation.
Yeah, be the other thing, too. All the truck drivers will be out of work one of these days. Well, not in our lifetime, but certainly.
No.
Certainly down the road. That's
why the Yang Gang is so popular, because that's what he's saying. We have to prepare for this.
Yeah, you'll just call for a car on your phone, and one will show up, and you just leave it wherever you want.
That's right.
It'll automatically go back to wherever it's supposed to go. So, all right, coming up, Mike McCormick will join us, or we'll continue on with local stuff or the 5 things you need to know. Somehow we'll get that all done today. Let's hope so. It is Wednesday, and So we'll be back right after the news at the top of the hour. Brooke Foster Weather, she's back, and the Montana State News. So stay tuned. And the above mentioned Mike McCormick is in the house. How you doing, man?
I'm doing excellent.
Yeah. Shane Matalman on the line. Mike, he's ready to jump in.
It is Wednesday.
Yeah.
Hey, Shane.
Good morning, good sir.
Exactly. Happy hump day, everybody.
Yeah. Mike McCormick in the house. He's cooler than the other side of the pillow.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Clicking through the week here, clicking through the news.
Yeah.
Clicking through another week of sort of scary stock market investing for sure.
What's going on?
Well, it seems that that trade does matter. It seems that that yield curve does matter. It seems that a lot of things matter, and consumer sentiment now is supposedly declining.
Yeah.
So talking about metrics out there, so we're sort of where we were last month, which is we've got a ton of uncertainty. We're feeling like we're at the top of the hill. I use the euphemism of climbing false summits. When you go mountain climbing or hiking, same thing for us, right? Hey, we're almost at the top. Oh, good look. And then you get up the top and you say, oh, darn it, there's another one there.
Is that all there is?
Well, there's another summit over there, but in order to get to it, takes more work, and you might need to go down to a saddle and then climb up another one. And so it's hard to recognize the top when you're that close to it. That's sort of the bottom. Bottom line is what I mean to say, is it's hard to recognize if you're at the top.
Yeah.
Stocks are behaving. Yeah, they're behaving like it's time to pause. There's not a whole lot of reason for going up. Trump's tweets about, oh no, we're okay here, are having diminished effect. The crying wolf phenomenon seems to be applying here.
Yeah.
That the potency of our leaders, soothing words is maybe wearing off. We want to see some tangible outcomes, and so far all we're really seeing is, this trade war, started a little over a year ago, and they said when these things start, they don't end quick. They don't end quick, and usually everybody suffers on the way. And I think that we're starting to chew on that a little bit deeper right now. And the idea that we're going to move countries out of China, I mean, it's
companies out of China. You mean not countries?
Excuse me, companies.
Yeah.
Companies out of China.
Yeah.
Is not likely going to happen.
Not going to work. Yeah.
It's not going to work. GM.
We get an investment there.
GM would lose billions.
We're not going to drop that investment there and just leave.
McDonald's, pretty popular over there.
Yeah, I would say so.
Right.
Well, the Costco just opened, and they had to close early because they had too many people.
Right.
I mean, the wait to get in the parking lot was a couple hours or so.
So what's the good news is the economy keeps clicking along, and everybody's got a job, and everybody's getting hopefully a little bit of a wage bump and feeling a little bit wealthier. And now another headline that caught my eye this morning is that stocks and bonds and all these things that people invest their retirement money in, they're behaving more similarly than they usually do. So we used to talk about diversification as, hey, you need to have some of these types of companies, and you need to have some of these types of companies, and then you need to have some bonds in there, and this makes a diversified portfolio so that things go up and things go down. Well, now that it's all sort of behaving a lot the same, and so I think that us as financial advisors need to up our game and expand our purview to what really is a diversified portfolio: cash and real estate and business ownership, and maybe you have some collectibles. Yeah. And gold is back in the conversation now too.
From our text line, 478-8298, ask Mike if the national debt includes consumer debt like mortgages.
That is a great question. Indirectly, I mean, it's one of those things where the debt is a measure of how much the government actually owes, which is not consumer mortgages. But in terms of the magnitude of it, when you loan money out to one place, it ends up being assumed by somebody else. So federally backed mortgages you can trace there. But it's other sides of the balance sheet would be the way that I would look at that.
Yeah, you got Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and all that stuff in there.
Right, but the amount of debt on this one side equals the amount of assets on the other side.
Yeah, so it's
generally no is the simple answer.
All right. Let's see. One of the things, the bonds are the only indication right now that we might have a recession. The low rate on bonds.
There's I mean, that's the most alarming.
That's the thing that attracts people to. It's the biggest market we have. And if it's not functioning on all 8 cylinders, then
money's scared.
Yeah,
money's scared right now. It's going to the scary spots. It'll be interesting to see who can trade in this market. There's the active management, whether it's through a mutual fund or a hedge fund or or day traders. There's a lot of movement right now. They were complaining last year that there was not enough volatility. Now we got all you can handle.
Yeah.
I do like to watch sort of those scorecards and see who can really predict this, because when we had our big 600-point drop last week, who's really got the guts to say, hey, this is a time to buy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because I love a good deal.
It's on sale.
I love a good deal. I do.
It's on sale.
But some days the good deals are looking a little bit hairy, too.
Well, I was going to say, you got company XYZ over here that's got a long history of success and paid dividends or done whatever it is, and all of a sudden the market goes down 600 points. Do you not look at that company and say, hey, this is an opportunity to, pick up a few shares here?
For sure. I mean,
add to the portfolio, because this is a well-run, well-managed, profitable company for X number of years.
And that's really just an individual decision. I mean, a lot of people are comfortable with the companies that they've been owning for a long period of time, big names, right? And they've seen them come back, and so that's given them confidence that they've made it through.
The Buffett idea is to, buy well-run companies with a future.
I read a good report the other day. This is Muhammad Al-Ilarian. Actually, I was reading his bestseller book that he came out with in 2008 when markets collide, right at the bottom of the recession, and he was forecasting how things were going to pan out. But he had a good point. He said, when you build your portfolio, you need to imagine that you're leaving on a sailing trip for 3 years and you're coming back and you're looking at it.
Yeah.
That's the right way to look at that. Now, that was about the only thing that I read in the few pages that I read that he was right on.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to cast doubt on him. I mean to point up the idea that we can't forecast this stuff.
No, you can't.
I mean, he came out with a very lucid, verbose argument as to what was going to happen based upon these structural changes and how things are different now and what we need to watch out for. Commodities have not performed well. Alternative assets have performed very poorly. And anything other than U.S. stocks has done badly. So, none of those things were in his book.
Yeah.
Careful if you're getting a book off the shelf today on how to invest for the next 10 years.
That's right, yeah.
Because if this guy can't do it, it sure isn't going to come out of my mouth. That's for sure.
I was going to say every year they have the top 10, hedge fund guys or whatever, and every year
at the beginning of the year they pick who's going to do well and who's not.
Yeah, and they're all, half of them are losers. Well, more than half. Because it is. It's the market is literally a crapshoot. You shouldn't put money into it that you're not prepared to lose.
Well, I disagree with that, Tom.
Well,
I do. Over time.
Well, that's true. Over time,
risk is rewarded.
That's right.
Risk is rewarded. It
has been since the 20s.
If it's an efficient performing market, over time risk will be rewarded, and that risk is real estate or cash is risk because you're not participating. A business. It's just the hard part is that sometimes you don't get the average. And that's the hardest part about being a unique individual is that, hey, I want the average return.
Right.
I don't want all the scatter points around it because I got bad luck or whatever. I just want the,
I just want the average.
Let me play bogey golf, please.
Yeah, I think this morning, if you'd been in the market since January, I think you were up almost 10% in the Dow and 14 in the NASDAQ.
You got to pick the right one. Well, and we talk about how
you could buy those as a fund,
right?
But
and you wanted to miss out on Christmas Eve last year because otherwise you're.
Yeah, that's it.
If you go back a year, you're probably a lot flatter. But today, I thought coming in, it would be a good time to talk about some of the other news that we're seeing. Interesting stuff happening with Philip Morris and Altria.
Okay.
Have you followed that at all?
No, I haven't.
So it used to be it was just Philip Morris, the cigarette company, and then they split open.
We know cell phones and cigarettes. We followed that for years.
That is our beans and bullets and cell phones and cigarettes.
That's right.
That still is a winning philosophy.
That's it. Buy those and you're good. You're home free.
Right. You got at least two of the three bases covered.
Right.
Well, these two companies used to be one, and then when U.S. started regulating heavily our tobacco use here, they said, okay, well, we're going to come up with this company Altria. And that's going to be our U.S. version, and then Philip Morris gets to do all the international stuff. Two interesting things happen. One is that I perceived that cigarette sales in the U.S., Altria, would be a poor bet, and let's go after those poor third world countries that can't read the U.S. warnings on how.
Right. I was going to say, get the smokers
right.
Don't have cancer yet.
And you can get the clove cigarettes to the kids a lot more efficiently when there's no laws out there.
Right.
So. Philip Morris International didn't actually perform particularly well over the past decade, and Altria has. And a big reason why is because they've gotten recently into the Juul Juul market, the vaping thing.
The vaping thing, yeah.
And so now the two companies are saying, let's partner up again.
Yeah.
And it's as much because of this new reduced risk delivery methods for consuming tobacco. They don't accentuate any of their cigarettes anymore. They don't put that on any of their branding. They don't talk about it. That still drives their revenue. People are still addicted to smoking. They still smoke. And now we've got Juul squarely in the crosshairs with the flavoring that they're doing. And so the Congress has taken a big look-see at that. So
we've had some 11 cases of respiratory
We just had
death.
one confirmed death.
Yeah.
First confirmed death from a medical person saying they died because of vaping.
Yeah.
And so, it's not safe, clearly. The nicotine dosage is apparently an order of magnitude bigger.
Yeah.
And they've got bubble gum through Tutti Frutti flavors.
Right, yeah.
So, maybe they got back to school specials going on. I don't know.
Maybe.
But it's always interesting to me to be following, these sorts of moves and trends where the underlying motive is profit.
Yeah.
And shareholders ultimately are demanding that. And then we've got a public health risk apparently out here as well.
Shane, you're being awful quiet over there.
Oh, I'm just listening to Mike. I was, curious to know where he's at, what he's thinking.
Well,
I always have my own opinion. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And now we've got also medicinal marijuana or recreational marijuana. This is one of those companies. They are invested in these things. Altria, I believe, has got holdings in it.
Sure.
And so they're diversifying into other areas of recreational sedation. I don't know what field you want to call it. Sin stocks, right?
I gotta say, Philip Morris has all the equipment to produce reefers. What's the problem?
It's just a different crop they're putting in there, right?
That's all you got to do is shred something different and put in there.
Right. Virginia Slim's 1000 to the Maui Wowie Millennial. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's a brave new future out there. These publicly traded companies aren't going anywhere. They've got immense cash hoards. And if you're a dividend investor and scared, not always a bad choice to put in there. Ethical problems do exist with these companies. And this is something else that we talk about a lot is socially responsible investing. Who really wants to be investing in a product that could be killing people or getting kids addicted to it? People would prefer to make money other ways, right? I would say everybody would. And so when you're looking at how to invest your money, you can put that into the machine, into the equation. Just know it's problematic, right? That these companies, Altria's joint rolling machine or whatever, to use that, is probably made by a small company that might be included in a mutual fund that you own. It's really fairly intractable. So it's a challenging thing to be socially responsible investing. The best you can do is kind of like what we're doing curbside. Do a little bit of recycling, do the big things, maybe cut down on one trip in your car a week, and then go ahead and go to work and get things done. A little bit will go a long way is the theory on that.
That it will. All right, we got to take a quick break, and it is quick. It's only 1 minute, so Mike McCormick is in the house.
Let's talk mortgages when we get back.
We'll talk mortgages. Why not? Yeah, we brought it up earlier, so we'll be back with mortgages right after this. All right, we're back. We're not paying attention. We're listening to each other here and
stimulating
talking about ourselves. And
stimulating conversation.
I tell you, 9 months and I still have to be retrained. I don't know, Shane. We're never going to get this job.
Mortgages.
Let's talk about them.
Cheap money. Cheap money.
And they've been cheap for a long time.
And they're not supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Mortgages, obviously your bank or some lending institution is going to look at your financials and say, okay, doesn't the low interest rates put more pressure on the bank to raise the bar on who gets the loan and who doesn't?
Well, they're putting a mortgage together, and then they're selling it off. Typically, they're not holding it. And yes, they are now. I mean, not at that level, but they are getting collateralized and packaged up.
But I mean, they're going to have to make a deal at some mortgage rate. Obviously.
And if they get a good quality, high quality mortgage, with a good credit score and a good borrower, they're going to make more money as they sell that off.
That's what I'm saying. But there's going to be fewer and fewer of those people. Well, there may be more now that wages are going up and we're a little more prosperous.
Well, the real problem here is affordability is pricing people out, right? So people have been stretched all the way up. But you can borrow on a 30-year fixed, below 4% if you've got great credit right now.
Yeah.
Which is stunning. Stunning. So if you haven't refinanced in a while, you may want to.
Yeah.
And you may even want to, if you've got a growing business and you're looking at accessing capital, and you might want to consider, this is really heavy asterisk, I don't want people borrowing against their house to invest that money, but you can get better rates on your primary house because banks know that you want to live there, that you're incentivized to keep it up. You're incentivized to maintain it, and it will probably appreciate with you in the ownership position on that.
Yeah. Well, what about the people coming out with 20, 30 grand in student loans tied to their
that is, I mean, the millennial generation is hampered. And the student debt, I just put this in my newsletter, it's other than mortgages, it's the largest consumer debt item out there. Student debt is not going away, not dischargeable in bankruptcy. Really no way to get out of it. And a lot of the programs that the federal government is putting out there to say, hey, if you work in the public sector, we'll forgive it. I've read some articles about how that's not really working as planned either. It's hard to get that discharged. So if you want to buy a home, you got to address how you're going to handle the student debt. They're going to factor that in terms of what your payment ability is. And the biggest problem for people around here is how do you gather up a down payment that can be substantial enough to allow you to get the mortgage. The bank wants you to have skin in the game. They don't want to be on the hook for the whole amount. And then you got to be able to stand up and make these payments too. Where does it go from here? I think like the market, I think things will persist. We have a really awkward yield curve right now, which we're not going to talk about, but we've talked about it before. And what it's manifesting is that mortgage rates for 15-year to 30-year to jumbos, everything's wonky. You can't, the normal math isn't really there. So if you're in the market for shopping, make sure you do a good shopping and just don't consider, the 30-year fixed because the 15-year might be at a good price. And if you're in the jumbo market, that's above, I think it's 4.25, 100,000 for borrowing. There's actually really good rates on that level too. So it's the normal rules don't apply.
The payments, you're set there.
So consider going through a local bank. I always like you to consult your local bank, and then I always like you also whoever owns your mortgage, whether it's SunTrust or one of these big banks or who knows what on your statement. There's a number there you can call them, and they might be able to refinance you affordably too. So go both channels, local bank, and then also through whoever it is that's holding it.
All right. Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Caller, you're on the air with Mike McCormick. What's going on?
Okay, this is Brett.
Yeah.
Tom, I'm sorry, but your estimation of student loan debt is probably needs to be double or triple that, at least. I see lots of credit reports with student loans on there, and it's in this 60 to 90 range.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was being conservative on that. I think. So yeah, you're right. I'm just throwing a number out there.
Yeah, but that's an indication though of what a huge burden they have coming out of college.
Well, it's 1.2 trillion.
1.5 is what I've got with an average of about 38,000.
Yeah, I've got
that number looks spooky.
I show 1.61 at $37,045 per student.
Yeah.
So,
ouch. But
some of them are going to be higher than that if you're in medical or if you're in attorney or something you got to go for a number of years or get a doctorate. Yeah, you got big bucks.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you much.
Yeah, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for listening. Caller, you're on the air with Mike McCormick. What's up?
Hi, it's Gay.
Hey, Gay.
Hey, I think maybe some students ought to kind of pare back on their desires. They all want to go away to school, someplace far away, instead of going someplace close to home where they could possibly live at home and cut down on their bills. They don't want to work anymore. They don't even want a part-time job. They want to just go to school on a borrowed dime, which is crazy. And if you think women's studies is going to pay a lot when you get out, you're out of your mind. My son and his wife is a teacher. She went to school. They own their own home already, and they paid off their student loans because she went to school at home. didn't borrow every dime she could possibly borrow. She worked while she went to school, and my son was in the military, so he helped her pay off her loans, and now he's going to school part-time. So, you just need to pare back what you desire. You don't have to go to the fanciest school there is, because let's face it, a degree from Yale is not going to help you as a barista.
True.
So,
That won't.
So, seriously, if you want to go to school, I think that's great. But you shouldn't put yourself in debt to your eyebrows before you even have a job.
I'll agree with you. Yeah, I'll agree with you there that most majors require some electives. You got to have a year of this or a year of that or whatever. Why not get that at home like you're talking about and go to college locally for 2 years, and then if you're really serious and college works for you, then you can explore, do I want to go to Stanford or wherever I can get in that's the best school for my major. That, I think, makes more sense, and you'd borrow a lot less than going for the full 4 years and,
Well, exactly.
Yeah,
and
live in mom's basement for a couple of years, It works.
Exactly. Or, not decide, what, do I really need the degree from Stanford?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and 2 years locally may bring that home to you. That maybe college isn't for me. I want to be a carpenter, or I'll be an apprentice electrician, or something like that, or auto mechanic.
I just think when you borrow, that much money for a degree that's not going to pay you. I mean, I understand you love poetry and want to be a poet, but are you going to be able to make money as a poet?
Not many poets on the Forbes 500.
There's not many, no. So I just think we need, maybe we should pare back our desires.
Here's how I'm talking about it with my clients. Gay.
Hey, thanks, Gay. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Just in terms of college, planning with my clients, I just say, hey, look, most people are going to be going to graduate school these days. If you're working with a financial advisor, you're middle class probably or upper, and statistically there's going to be a graduate school. Mm-hmm. And so once you put that on the table, and once you realize that because of our good helicopter parenting and everything, and social media, kids are maturing slower, college just becomes like an extra high school in my mind, where they get more freedom and they get to mature socially. And then the value proposition and payment becomes a little bit more tangible that nobody's going to, once you get out of graduate school as a doctor or master or whatever, nobody's going to say, well, where'd you go into undergrad? Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to ask that question.
No, they're not. Yeah.
Nobody's going to ask you what your high school GPA was.
Yeah, what's that PhD from?
They're going to say, oh, you're a specialist in this. Great.
And your grades are going to transfer from one college to another, so it's no big deal. Yeah. Let's take one more phone call, and we got to take a break. Caller, you're on the air. Thanks for waiting. What's up?
I have a statement, and then I have a question that I will pose as a poem.
Okay. We got about a minute left, so make it quick.
I think that the solution is to drive your electric car to Livingston once a week, charge it for free while you're getting a microbrew or working as a barista at the local coffee shop.
Okay, that'll work.
And the question is, in this economy of the lower rate, can students refinance their loan to mitigate their fate?
Ooh, I like that. Boy. Yeah.
Let's answer it when we come back, because that's an easy one.
I'll work on the rhyme, the response rhyme.
Yeah, we'll work on the poetry while we're out.
Okay.
All right, thanks for the call. All right. Shaman Taubman on the line with us in Vancouver, British Columbia, and Mike McCormick in the house. Tom Eagle, your morning mayor, and all three of us will be back right after the news at the bottom of the hour here, and Mike's here for the full hour, so feel free to ask him anything you want, money or otherwise. He'll tell you about boating or, water skiing, mountain climbing, scuba diving, what's Hawaii like in the winter. He knows all that stuff. So we'll be right back with more with Mike right after this. Welcome back, everyone. 25 minutes for the top of the hour. Shaman Taubman is on the line, half man, half amazing in Vancouver, British Columbia. And money guru Mike McCormick is in the house, McCormick Financial Services. And Mike, we got several questions from you. Well, we have a text line for Shane, 478-8298. Shane, the Democrats are the best example of true artificial intelligence. So you can do that one. So, hey, Mike. When prime indicators favor a coming recession, I've done well in the past focusing on purchasing stocks with the best PE ratios. When money is scared, I've gotten some good deals, I guess. What do you say, a venerable financial guru?
Oh, I appreciate that very much. Yeah, I am a frugal shopper. I am my mother's son, and I'm some people refer to as a cheap bastard. And so it's nice to pick up a stock where their earnings are really good compared to their price, and that's the Warren Buffett method. And you can still find some out there right now, but it's challenging. Even the value stocks recently have had a good boom because of this fright. So keep a lookout. Price to earnings is a very good indicator of what type of company it is and what its future prospects would be. But we are still, I think, in a growth momentum mode. So you still have to have a little bit of sugar in the high flyers also out there. I think that there's still some legs back on this one. And you're not safe when you get a value stock either. These days, you're going to take a ride. If you're invested in stocks, it's hard to you can't avoid risk. It's still there, is my 2 cents. Yeah.
The question before we went to the break about student loans.
Student loans, right.
The refinancing of student loans. And we were talking a little bit about that off the air. I think originally the student loans from the government were like 6% or something like that. They were pretty high.
So the question was a clever riddle, which was effectively, should you refinance your student loans now that rates have gone down?
Yeah.
So I came up with a much simpler riddle, but it was, if the grass is greener, the boss may be meaner.
Yeah.
And so when you refinance anything, you have to be very good at your math, because it might be that the cost of originating a new loan, once you add that to this sexy rate, might not get you better math. Yeah. And that's the same with a house. You also
might go from 6% to 5.5%,
but you paid a point in origination.
You paid extra to get there.
Right. Yeah. Right. So it might be 6s, and if you're close to paying it off, I like the simplicity of saying who it was. Also, the person that you borrowed money from, if it was the federally sponsored Sally Mae sort of program, there's flexibilities in there. If you have a hardship, they'll understand if you freeze payments. Whereas your new loan obligation is probably to a private party, and they're going to be a lot more stringent, and they're not going to be empathetic to any of your challenges. So if the math is good and your income's strong, go for it. That's my gist on that one. Yeah.
Well, I think that gets back to what Gay was talking about. You know, you need to really need to think this student loan thing, because, as you point out, you know, if you run into hard times, that private company isn't going to be as understanding as government might.
And that is one of the good hallmarks of the government. They don't know how much money you're going to make in the future. They are, hooking their pocketbook into your artery for sure. Yeah. But they don't want to kill the host either. Yeah. Whereas a private lender might not mind killing the host.
For the government, you're an investment, because you go to work with a degree, you're going to make more money and pay more taxes and things like that.
Exactly.
Once you're done with a student loan with a private company, they have no vested interest.
They don't care if they took your last drop of blood.
They don't care at all. So, okay. What's Mike's take on reverse mortgages?
Oh gosh. What a good questions today. Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
It's like a hot seat here.
I know.
So just for those that don't know, reverse mortgages, they've been around for a while. They've been popular for a decade or two, maybe. The idea is that you want to stay in your home.
Right.
And you're short on cash.
You're retired, probably.
You're retired. You have no mortgage, and all your money's in your house, except for a little bit left over. And you need extra cash. Maybe you need to bring in some help to help you live your life, get your 5 daily activities taken care of, and you don't have insurance policy for it. So you want to access some capital. Well, the reverse mortgage allows you to basically sign your home over to a bank, and they're going to annuitize it in some way where they're going to make a steady income stream available to you for the rest of your life. And then when you pass, they're going to take your home. Mm-hmm. Now, in that, there's a lot of complicated math. If you live a really long time, they might pay out more than your house is worth than you won. So there's an insurance policy behind all this stuff too. So there's mortgage, there's insurance policy, there's real estate. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of complicated moving parts in here. And what that results in is, A, complicated things are not good for old people making financial decisions typically. Right. Mm-hmm. And B, there's a lot of fees.
Yeah.
And there's no way around
the
that.
Fees, the get-in fees are pretty high.
They're pretty high, but they're also, whenever there's a guarantee about lifetime income, there has to be a fee associated with that, because you might be the longest living person in the history of the world. They don't know that.
I was going to say, you're assured at least the sheriff's not going to come and take your home out from under you.
And the value of the home that they're projecting today might be way different than the value of the home when you pass and they take it over and they have the ability to sell it to another party. So you're getting a lot of assurances out of there, and that's going to cost you a lot. Yeah. And so, generally, I think it's one of those things where if this is what has to happen because this is what you want, then it's the right decision. But frequently, staying in your own home, I can't judge this one. I haven't been there, and I haven't even taken care of parents yet. I'm just about to start that one. It's individual. So if that's all you have the options for, make sure you shop. Make sure you really understand what you're giving up here on this one, because you're giving up a lot. And typically the fees are substantial because they're providing quite a lot of guarantees for it.
All right. From our text line, 478-8298, for Mike, it's starting to feel a lot like 2007 out there in the markets. Are you a Jim Cramer who says we have nothing to worry about, just like in 2007, 5 days before Bear Stearns went belly up? Is that what you're telling us, Mike, that we're okay?
Well, let's be clear. I don't know. I'm just this guy in Montana. So I don't know. But to say there's enough people out there that are saying we're going to have a recession because it's due, and we're going to have a recession because we see these things flagging off. And at the same time, you look around and everybody's got a job and making money. So I am in the glass half full. I'm in the argument that you got to take risk to make money. And when everybody's saying we're not taking risk right now, you better leave a little bit on the table. So if you have retirement accounts that are 5 or more years out, I don't want you messing around with those. Sure. If you've got safe money that's taxable and you just, sold a company or a piece of property and you've got cash, really be delicate with that, and don't be afraid of getting 2% on a money market or a CD out there for a period of time. It'll make you feel better. Yeah. Great time to pay down. Here's the thing.
It'll at least equal inflation. So.
Right. Here's the thing. We're all older, and we're all supposed to be getting more conservative in our investing. Yeah, we're all supposed to have also had a lot more invested. What are you going to do about that? But you can't ignore certain rules of thumb, which is that we are going to have an end to our plan. You need to save a lot right now, and where you have a choice on how much risk you want to take. So like I started off this show, it's not just a stock market game, and I want to make sure this is never just a stock market show.
Sure.
If there's things that you're passionate about or interested in or provide you with comfort, take a look at those. And it might be CDs. It might be physical golds. It might be owning a share of your son's company. It might be going in on a rental property with your mom, or buying part of their lake house, or all these different things that people do with money. It's probably not going into the Iraqi dinar. It's definitely not going into Bitcoin, because you just look at those things as, you have to be really wealthy to take that kind of risk.
Right.
But it is probably the meat and potatoes of the things that the people around you that are successful have been doing. Regularly investing, not freaking out, and working hard.
Yeah. From our text line, 478-8298, Tom, with all the extra dough you're making, buy the wife a car with heated and cool seats. We were talking about that earlier. With reverse mortgages, can I move if I hate my neighbors? Well, you can, but you're going to have to do it all over again when you go wherever you go, I guess. I don't know. Can you get out of that contract if...
Oh, I honestly don't know.
I don't know either.
I've never participated in one. I think that it's anytime you go into a contract with an insurance company, usually the best thing to do is to stay in it and play ball with them according to the rules that you planned on. Because there's a lot of things at stake. If you jump ship, like a lot of things in life, if the grass is always greener and you can't stay in one home as long as you think, you can't stay with one job as long as you think, you can't stay with one deal, you're going to leave a lot of money on the table. So yes, little Johnny that put the nickel in the jar every day. Yeah, he's still got more money than all of us, right?
Pretty much. All right, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break here, and when we come back, One of our poll questions this week, Mike, was what would you do with a $20,000 spending spree? And, we've already talked to Shane about it, but we'll have Shane renew his thoughts on what he would do with 20 grand, and I'll tell you.
And this is you have to spend it. I can't say, well, you should get a diversified portfolio.
You got 20
right?
bucks, and you got to you got 200 or 20,000. You got to spend it on something. So
okay.
When we come back, we'll talk about that with Mike. So here's 2 minutes of fun for you. 12 minutes for the top of the hour. Shaman Taubin on the line in Vancouver, British Columbia. Half man, half amazing. Being very uncanny silent over there. Are you still breathing, son?
Well,
Oops. Where are you? Where are you? Can't hear you.
He's off spending his 20 grand.
Yeah. No, I'm here.
Yeah, I couldn't. I'm not getting you on the Skype. I don't know why. So.
Why not? No, you aren't.
Yeah, I don't know.
Must have not paid your Skype bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, see, Town Square can't afford lights in the buttons here, so say something. I don't know if you're there.
I don't know.
There you are. Okay, you're there. All right, good. All right. Let's see. Mike McCormick is in the house, of course, and we were going to talk about if you had 20 grand you had to spend, what would you do with it, Mike?
Well, we'll just get I would give it all to suicide prevention and then buy myself a sandwich.
Okay.
Right?
All
and
right.
Short of that, I'd walk downtown to all the great retailers and buy all the things that I always thought were shiny and fancy, including skis, bikes.
Wow.
I need multiple pairs of skis. I could go through 20 grand on just my outdoor pursuits. There's some fly rods, that are fantastic. Yes, I don't need a $700 fly rod, but when I need to spend the money, I would a big, fancy, shiny, glowing Arbor reel, one of those things that says Bozeman Reel Company on it or something. Those are nice.
Material Mike, who knew?
Hey, I'm not immune to that.
And Shay, what were you going to do?
Well, I was going to buy silver, so I'm up 20 grand from last week from purchasing
Silver coins.
silver.
He's going to buy silver.
I didn't think investing was allowable on this one.
Well, okay. If you were going to invest, what would you do?
If I was going to invest, what would I do?
Yeah.
Today, if I had to do that, honestly, I'd just probably do the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index and just call it place marker.
Good. Yeah.
Place marker.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always thought, if I won the lottery, I would not give a dime of it away. What I would do is give the interest away.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the flip side. If I won the lottery, I would actually buy an annuity with a big portion of it, which is
from Ken Fisher.
From Ken Fisher, because
who would die and go to hell before he sold annuities.
In fact, of course, they do sell annuities. That's just a clever hook. Because my life right now is a little bit too controlled by what happens with this thing called the stock market.
Yeah.
And if I had that much money where I could produce that much income that I could do my charitable stuff and live happily, why wouldn't I just say, let's never care again about this thing called the stock market?
So you just need something that's going to produce 4 or 5%.
They don't.
Day in, day out.
Hang on. Let's be clear. Annuities do it best. 3%.
No. On an annuity, 100 million, you'll get up to 20%.
Yeah. Well, I just mean that usually a rule of thumb is that your retirement should, to maintain your standard of living, your retirement at 4% should do that, whatever amount of money that is.
I should be able to live comfortably on $20 million.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well,
I'm feeling pretty confident.
Okay, good. All right. So, I don't know, those skis and
Shane,
and fly rods take their toll over time,
Shane, you've mentioned before that with large sums of money, you can produce really good returns in annuities, and I don't disbelieve you, but would you please send me email me a little link on it, and I'd like to do my own research. Just in case I win the lottery, I need to know what to do.
Well,
just go look at the balance sheets of the NFL teams.
Okay.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how the NFL teams pay their players the millions of dollars that they pay them. They just buy an annuity and they're done with it.
Well, I understand. I'll look at it. I haven't seen one that does better than 3%.
Okay. Well,
unless you live till you're 100.
Yeah.
Well, they're unregulated, so you can negotiate any kind of return from the insurance company if you want.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Okay. Something for next week, as well as next week, we were going to talk about local stocks, Montana companies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if we've got some, I know we have some local stocks here that
I'll
people
put my
may
little
not be
stock
aware
picking
of.
hat on, and we'll go through some of the.
We'll go through some of them
right.
next week. So
can I crash the parade?
go crash the parade, whatever you want, man. You're a co-host.
All right. So here's my 1-minute rant. I've been watching my markers now for the better part of a year and the concerns they have. The last marker fell in place yesterday when Japan became the largest debt holder of the United States, $1.122 trillion, 10 billion more than China. That combined with the baby boomers, we're now halfway through the retirement of baby boomers, and they're retiring at a rate of 18,000 a day now, so we still have 10 years to go. Let's see. I don't believe that. And the price of silver went over $18, which is an industrial metal and is going to affect inflation significantly because of high tech. So we're in. I believe this is not a market a correction. It's a market sell-off, and we're in the midst of the beginning of a black swan. It has nothing to do with politics or Trump. It's just markers that I see in the market, and. So what you're going to see is that the Japanese trade is off, and the reason you've seen these drops in the market in the last several days is both China and traders in China and Japan have been selling off U.S. securities to buy U.S. debt. You'll see that the Federal Reserve is now, in its next balance sheet, has sold off $1.4 trillion in U.S. debt to people who have been buying it for the last year, but they're not in a position to buy anything sold, like from foreign governments or traders in this case. Japan is in a serious issue with its quantum easing, and as we all know, it, like several other countries, banks now have to pay the government to, to acquire debt from the, weekly debt from the government. So, gold is a narrow marker, only because it is only a valuation of some people who want to protect themselves. I think you're going to see continued shifts in the market and sell-offs over the next several months, also because of the China trade mixing in with that, which will be concluded before the end of the year, and the market should turn once again then.
What do you think about oil in there, Shane? How does oil behave in that scenario?
U.S. controls the price of oil. OPEC's gone, so is Russia. You're now at 12 million barrels a day. You got to get to 18 million barrels a day, and you're totally free. That will occur by 2021. By 2022, you'll be at 20 million barrels a day, and the cash running into your country will be significant. It will stay between the 56 and $65 value because of fracking and to maintain the continued growth of it and natural gas in your country. Natural gas being sold on the foreign market is so extensive that the cash flow being generated back for reinvestment by the major oil companies will result in new technology and advances that no one's expected, including different uses of alternate fuels for cars, trains, and airplanes. The biggest nomer in all of this is Boeing and its plane. That's a real concern of mine with this black swan as to whether or not they get this new plane back in the air. It's the largest seller. It's number one export product of the U.S. Aside from cars, number two, and food. The other concern I have is the U.S. now is looking at having 1.2 trillion in car debt. And this is a concern that I have because the rollover has to be significant to the electric car to save the industry in the next 20 years. And unfortunately, the used car market is bigger than the new car market, and that's going to continue because of the new ways you're seeing it advertised and sold on the internet.
Okay, that's his rant. What do you think?
I don't disagree. I think that there is going to, we've got a lot of reasons to be pessimistic on this. We've been high flying in valuations for a long time, and to pull back, in this day and age, it's violent, right? It's not orderly. It's not an orderly walk to the exit. It's just timing it is impossible.
Yeah.
And so I do think that, I relay this back to our local real estate market, which is super expensive. It's going to get ridiculously expensive, is my gist. So I don't think we're at the ridiculous yet. I do think that politics does play into this in terms of being able to predict the future. And elections will play into this in terms of, the future of tax cuts, stimulus measures, things that do really impact our country's GDP and fiscal policy. And so I'm not discounting that, yes, things are looking dark and concerning. That's why I say if it's not in your retirement account, be careful. If it's in your retirement account, there's probably not enough in your retirement account anyway. You're probably working for a while. Moving to bonds or moving to cash or moving out of international, it's a crapshoot, to your expression, on which one is going to be the winner. We haven't seen any performance out of international or emerging markets in the past decade almost, yet we're still pessimistic on that. So how does that revert to the mean?
Do you think the whole world is sort of on pause because we've got China, we got North Korea with a ballistic submarine, we've got Brexit stalled.
I think
the UK doesn't know where they're going.
Underneath it, nobody stalls. I mean, underneath all that, businesses, everybody's going to work, and they're working as hard as they can to figure out how to make more money, how to be more efficient, how to spend more time with their kids, how to die gracefully. I mean, underneath all of these things, this is still happening.
Yeah.
And so that's why you need to have some money still at risk so that it can potentially grow. Nobody thinks there's a big upside on this thing right now.
Yeah.
And maybe if you were considering an annuity, maybe it's not a bad time, but underneath it all, interest rates are so low that you're not getting a lot of sugar for that either. So it's a very challenging time for investors. Hopefully you've got a good advisor out there. There's a lot of great ones in town. Go visit with all your advisors before you make any big decisions.
Well, the other thing too is
can I just make one more comment?
Go ahead, Tom.
In August of '87, the PE ratio on Standard & Poor's 500 was 20.79. The low that we've seen since, well, it got lower after that, but June 2011 was 1575, and right now today it's around 2072. You need to see that back around 15 or 16 to 18 to make a viable choice on a Standard & Poor's stock to purchase because of the PE ratio. So the only thing that's going to change that is the growth of the company or the stock price dropping. So that's why I say we're in this correction.
Okay. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for being here, man. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for all the great questions. Appreciate it. All the listeners.
McCormick Financial Services. Mike McCormick in the house. We'll be back with 5 things you need to know right after this. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you, Dan. 6 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock. It's Wednesday, August 28, 2019. 57 degrees outside. We're looking for a high in the upper 80s today. And, Shane, we got a caller waiting patiently on the line, so let's rock and roll. Caller, you're on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm glad to see Brooke Foster got over her cold.
Yes, she did. Yeah. She sounded a lot like me yesterday. I don't know. I don't know where she went yesterday, but I don't know.
I'd like to personally thank you, Tom. You're the program director. Is that correct?
Well, so far.
Well, no. And the reason I'd like to thank you. And also one of your sponsors. I learned a lot on the one of your shows carried by your station. And one of your sponsors is Babbel. And yesterday afternoon on the Mark Levin show, I learned psychobabble.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, good deal.
I don't know if you heard that particular segment on his program, but it was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And I would recommend everyone, if they get a chance, to download that particular segment. I think it was in the second hour of his program. And in 1 hour, you will learn psychobabble.
Yeah.
And it'll be for free, too.
Yeah, I believe marklevin.com. I think you can get the programs over there, I believe, at his website. So.
And a question for Shane.
Sure.
Shane, do you know that the President of the United States took a psych evaluation exam sponsored by Montreal psychoanalysis or something like that? Were you aware of that?
No, I can check it out.
I know he took one psych eval. He got 30 of 30 questions correct.
Yeah, Yeah.
That's right.
Is that the one? Is that the same one you're talking about?
Yeah, I believe that's the one. And I think every presidential candidate should take one of those particular exams. Because,
I think so. Drug testing too. I'm in favor of that as well. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Well, Tom, thanks again.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Hey, thanks for listening, and that's why we're all here. We want to entertain and educate if we can.
The previous guest you had on the last segment, it was very informative. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Mike McCormick. Yeah.
Well, and just so you know, he took a Canadian psych test from a Canadian doctor in January 17th, 2018, and aced it.
Right, and you won't hear anything like that on the media.
No, of course not.
Yeah, but
they'll just question the test. The test had to be bogus.
Oh yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Everything he does is bogus.
That's right. Anything positive is bogus information. Or the doctor was unqualified, or the test was rigged, or
if you want to hear an unqualified psychiatrist who has a education from a top Ivy League university, please download that Mark Levin's second hour. It's absolutely astounding, and I don't think this particular person did anything to bolster her profession at all.
Okay.
Thanks again, guys.
All right. Hey, thanks for the call.
You bet.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks a lot. Let's see from our text line, Shane, 478-8298. Hey, big dog. You're more than half amazing. This is for you, obviously, Shane.
Okay.
You're completely amazing, I guess. Most of the time, they say. You're half amazing most of the time. But don't you think we're overdue for a major correction? Why do you call this a black swan event, which is usually an anomaly or unusual occurrence? But in this case, the markets have been overinflated. By the way, big dog, your advice on silver is spot on as usual. Rough, never question the wisdom of a big dog. So there you are. So what do you think? The black swan event is usually unintended circumstances or unusual occurrences that you can't foresee.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you couldn't perceive that the Japanese trade being off so significant that they would run to U.S. debt, number one. You can't see the baby boomer, retirement because they hold $32 trillion in assets.
Yeah.
You can't see the valuation of silver and gold as a choice because of what's going on in Hong Kong. That's who's buying this.
Right.
The Chinese are buying gold and silver. That's what they've last best effort, sell my Chinese stocks and buy gold and silver.
Yeah. Because they aren't worth very much. So
that's right.
Get it while you can.
Yeah. The other aspect of the black swan, which you're correct, is Hong Kong itself, because this is so dangerous right now. China has lost between 2 and 4 million jobs as a result of this negotiations of a new trade deal. And they fail to understand that Trump doesn't care whether he gets elected or not. He just goes back to being a billionaire again. What does he care? So, he's doing what he thinks is right, and what he's doing is right. So all these things combined now on this date after yesterday, the Treasury Department announcing, that Japan now holds more debt than China. We're in a sell-off. It's not a correction. So that'll be good for Mike, because the values should drop. So the PE ratios, represent.
We'll get back in line where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the market needs. The market needs is a sell-off to get back to a managed level of PE ratio to earnings.
Yeah. And I think that's what's happened over recently with this China situation. I think China's going to wait out the election. I really do. I don't think they're going to make it. I don't think they're going to make a deal. October 1st, we talked about this the other day, that their international 4th of July, whatever, revolution 57 years ago or whatever, who cares? That's going to be a big celebration. He's still got Hong Kong, a problem with that. He's still going to have increased tariffs beginning September 1st and possibly October 1st as well. So, but I think they're going to, I think Xi is going to hang on. I think he's going to hold out and see if Trump's reelected. And this would be another positive for Trump if he does wait it out, because it's
look, you and I have talked about this a lot. The global GDP is $78 trillion. The U.S. now is at $22 trillion, heading to 24.
Yeah.
He gets reelected, it'll go to 25 or maybe even 26.
Right.
And the bottom line here is, as you and I both say, in the 21st century, if you're 25% of the global GDP, hey, you want to sell something here? Hey, pay us something.
Yeah, pay something for it. Yeah.
And by the way, I have a new word for it.
Okay.
New word. The word is not tax, surcharge.
Oh, okay.
A surcharge.
It's a surcharge, yeah.
You want to sell to North America, Canada? It's a surcharge.
A surcharge to do. Well, for example, we bought $500 billion stuff, of China stuff, and we sold about $100 billion to them, and that's why we have this huge trade imbalance, because they charge tariffs on us to bring stuff in, and we didn't before. 95% of the stuff that came into the United States from China, other than agricultural stuff, was free, no tariff at all, no payment of any kind. Come on in, and that's why Walmart is loaded from floor to ceiling with Chinese stuff. So
you got it right, baby. You got it right.
So yeah, I think it's time they paid a little something to do business with 320 million of the most affluent customers on the planet. Why not?
Well, and as we were talking earlier about oil. Oil is huge because the U.S. is now only purchasing 250 million in oil.
Yeah.
To this point. Now, the reason that's important is because they're getting oil for the closest refineries because of shipping reasons.
Right.
That's. But the traders are buying it at sea, which is really amazing because they're getting a discount. The other side of that too is OPEC is gone. And so now, think back, 30 years ago, since between 1977 and 2000, you were spending, $500 million, $400 or $500 million a year buying oil.
Right.
Because, you were down to 6 million barrels of production, using 18 million barrels a day. And that's gone now. So this is really cool. What's going on is really cool, and the numbers are great.
Well, they are pretty much, yeah. So, hourly wages are up. The consumer confidence is at an all-time high. We're at, there's a lot of good things to talk about. Farmers are, being hurt obviously with the tariffs and whatever on soybeans and things like that. But we got farm subsidies that I think we can bolster that somewhat. And there's other markets to sell in. And I think people should follow the, don't put all your eggs in China's basket. Look for other suppliers for your products and services. Let's open up some of those markets. Do you really think Vietnam and Venezuela or Vietnam and Malaysia and Indonesia don't want the business from the America?
Well, exactly,
and no tariffs on any of that, or very little tariffs on any of it. That's for sure.
And that's why a new trade deal with the UK is so fascinating.
Yeah.
And that's one of the 5 things we were going to talk about. But what I just want to bring up is, the UK includes 53 Commonwealth countries that got to have food.
Right.
So, you open up that market, and it creates a nice stream for your American food products to go to countries that they may not be able to reach right now, which is huge.
Yeah. Well, that's what we've been talking about for the last, 6 months, I guess, ever since this tariff thing kind of popped in. And so, So we come back. Let's rock and roll with the 5 things you need to know, Shane.
You bet, baby.
All right. We'll be right back. Right after this. Hang on. 19 minutes after the hour. It's Wednesday, August 28, 2019, 58 degrees outside. It is, going to be a beautiful day today. Supposed to be 80, 85, 89, somewhere in that neighborhood. It's going to be nice and warm and sunny, so enjoy it while you can. We're going to have a little rain on Thursday, but the weekend is going to be in the high 80s all weekend and sunny. for your Fourth of July, your Labor Day weekend. Shane and I will not be here Monday. We're going to take the day off along with everybody else here. So we'll have a nice 3-day weekend to recharge our batteries and come back strong and start our 10th month, Shane, I guess. Yeah, 10th month here in the seat. So we're looking forward to that. Let's see, from our text line, 478-8298. Let me figure this out here. Boy, I don't know what this talks about. Due is president, due his lifespan, which can be terminated. Talk about skin in the game. I have no clue what that is.
Me either.
So, okay. Maybe we need to rewrite that one a little bit. We'll figure out what that is. So anyway, I apologize for taking so long to probably figure that out. 5 things you need to know. Of course, the Brexit we talked about earlier. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson asked Queen Elizabeth II on Wednesday to suspend Parliament until mid-October, leaving lawmakers a little time to try to block Britain from crashing out of the European Union on October 31st without a divorce settlement. We need a divorce settlement to get out of this thing.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
I know they don't. I don't know why they're saying this. They can leave whenever they want. What's the big deal?
Exactly.
You know, I mean, they gotta settle with Ireland, I guess, with the borders and whatever there. Yeah. But other than that,
yeah, that's been the cover story. To force them to try to come up with a deal with the European market, but they're not going to close the border with Ireland. Here's the issue.
I wouldn't think so.
Under the European Union law, all agreements would cease to apply to establish interactions between the UK and the rest of the EU.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means principally is that trading of goods with the EU still operates under the World Trade Organization most favored status rules. So the only thing that will change is what it'll apply to is services, bank services and things of this.
Sure.
Now, I called this before. I'm calling it again. Mm-hmm. Johnson talked to Trump at this G7. Trump and him are going to make a deal. And when he gets that deal done and the China deal done, you wait and see what your president does with the WTO agreement, the World Trade Organization. Mm-hmm. Oh, my. He's going to march into that, and he's going to say, penalties, penalties, penalties. Yeah. Anybody who breaks these rules is going to get penalized. Boy, this is going to be great, really. So watching the world trade routes, this is great.
Yeah. Well, it's just like he did with NATO. Hey, you're not. Yeah, I mean, he's face to face with them. Hey, you guys aren't paying your fair share. Let's pony up.
Well, and the whole weekend they whined to him about, you've got to be more socialist like us. And I know what he looked at him and said, look, you guys are all socialists because you didn't pay a dime to NATO for 70 years.
Yeah.
and instead of applying that money to your own defense, you went socialist. Well, that's your problem. It's over.
Yeah.
Pay up. And if you can't pay up, then go back to capitalism so you can.
Yeah, there you are. From our text line, 478-8298, babble, just watch a Trump rally. He babbles and makes no sense. Well, I apparently you haven't watched one, so I would suggest you do in the future. So
there you go.
All right. 5 things you need to know. The next one is the Deutsche Bank claims it has tax returns related to Trump subpoena. So I guess when you give a loan, or you got to pony up your tax returns if it's a personal loan. I don't know about a business loan. I'm going to say they might have his corporate tax returns, but I doubt they have a personal tax return.
Well, but that also depends on who signs off. If the corporation,
that's true, yeah.
If the corporation signs off on the bank, then you're personally fine. But if they require your personal as well as your corporate sign off, they're going to require your tax returns. But you know what? This is going to be so funny because it's going to make the Democrats look as stupid with the Russian hoax as this whole thing with his taxes.
Yeah, I was going to say if the IRS isn't after him. I mean, come on. And plus, as a matter of law, the president and the vice president are audited every year they're in office by the IRS. Plus, you've got to submit every year. You got to submit your sources of income.
Plus, if you're a billionaire, you're going to pay your taxes. What?
I was going to say, what's the problem?
Why do you want to get into a?
I was going to say you're gonna pay as little as possible.
But you're going to pay taxes.
You're going to pay them, yeah. So
you don't want to go to jail like some of these Hollywood actors that trusted.
I was going to say yes, yeah. That's pretty dumb anyway. So. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, they got this House subpoena related to Trump. Lawmakers want to see his tax returns for whatever reason. I don't know what they think they're going to find, but, at any rate. The House has requested the bank turn over financial records for Trump, his children, Donald Trump Jr., Ivanka, and Eric, other close relatives to the Trump Organization, the Trump Trust, and additional Trump businesses. So it's going to take them 10 years to look through that before they can bring any impeachment against him. So I don't know what they think they're going to find there, but anyway.
It'll take them 5 years just to get them after the courts decide. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. The secret to divorce from our text line. The secret to divorce is just don't sign the papers. Lawyers hate that one. Yeah, I would say they do. So let's see. Innocent people don't hide in the shadows. Show us his taxes. Well, he showed them to the IRS. What do you want? He's hiding something. Well, if he's hiding something, I think the IRS would have found it. And who says the IRS isn't after him? Well, they may be. So I don't know. How about Sharpton's taxes from our text line, 478-8298? Yeah, maybe Sharpton might have something to say on that. Yeah, I would supposedly, as I said, every year the president and vice president are audited by law by the IRS, and I don't think he gets a Motel 6 audit. I think he gets a Four Seasons audit. I don't think they sit there and just kind of look at the page one and call it good. I think they go a little further than that.
Yeah, I would bet there's at least a dozen IRS accountants looking at it. Yeah, I think so.
I was going to say, I nobody wants to be the accountant that says I missed this money laundering deal or something else there. So that's what I say. I don't know what these tax returns are going to prove to you. That what hiding what? What do you think he's hiding that the IRS wouldn't find?
But it gets back to why.
Yeah.
He's worth so much money. Why take that risk and end up having a criminal charge against you? Not by the government. I mean, nobody of that wealth is going to want to risk. That's why they hire and spend $100 million a year with tax attorneys and accountants.
I was going to say
they don't want to go to jail.
When you've got 104 pages, and you can look them up online. You can his financial disclosures of his income, source of income, is a matter of public record. It's on the internet, and I've got it. If you want it, email me.
Yeah,
I'll be happy to send it to you. 2 years worth. His first one was 104 pages. This one's 103 pages, I guess. So he lost 2 pages of income producing something. So, but. I don't know. How about Nadler's taxes? You want Chubby Chicken's taxes, Shane?
Well, and the amazing thing about this, folks, is this is not rocket science. He has gone and created a brand. He gets paid cash for the use of his name. This is not rocket science. Yeah. He's got over 500 companies, subsidiaries to his family's company. Yeah. And the Chinese wall is segregated, so each company is independent. But the vast majority, $500 million a year, is in branding, cash flow to him because people want their name on a hotel or a building. Okay, this is not complicated stuff.
No, it isn't. Yeah, there's nothing to it. And if you've got that name recognition, you don't need to launder money. You don't need to be a crook. So right. I don't know. Anyway,
crazy.
All right, we got to take a break. We got Fox News at the bottom of the hour, Montana State News, and of course Brooke Foster's back with the weather. So we're pretty excited to have her back, of course. So I don't have to do it. We'll see everybody on the other side right after this. 24 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Wednesday, August 28, 2019, 59 degrees outside. We're looking for high in the high 80s, maybe 90 today, so should be pretty nice. Sunny. Rain Thursday off and on as we go through the day, but the weekend looks great. A little rain on Labor Day in the evening maybe, but Saturday and Sunday look great. Shane and I will not be here on Monday, Labor Day, so mark that down. We're going to take a 3-day weekend along with everybody else. From our text line, 478-8298, maybe he's hiding all the donations to Hillary in his taxes. Well, if he's clean, show us his taxes like he demanded Obama with the birth certificate. So when did Obama take office? January 20th of 2009?
9, right.
9, yeah. And when did he release his birth certificate? April of 2011, 2 years later, after being beaten up. And did how many people believed it was real? So I don't know. Anyway, I don't really care. He's done and gone, thankfully. From our text line, 478-8298, Tom, your Dem texters seem to be fluent in babble. All one of them. That's from Pete. So thanks, Pete, for that one. All right. So that'll catch our text line up. Getting back to the 5 things you need to know, we were talking about the Deutsche Bank possibly might release some tax returns from Trump. The other question would be, what year would this tax return be? Would it be before 2016? Ooh. So I don't know. Anyway. Again, the Johnson & Johnson thing from the other day, Shane, they were found guilty of opioids, whatever, and Sacklers and Purdue Pharma reach a tentative settlement. They're going to pay out $10 to $12 billion in an opioid settlement. I have mixed feelings about this, Shane. I don't know about you, but we don't hold the gun manufacturer responsible for the shootings. We don't hold the car manufacturers responsible for the highway deaths. Why are pharmaceuticals held to a higher to a different standard when they do not give any opioid to a patient? That's all on the doctor. It's all on the doctor.
No, we're just talking about Trump. So here is the Sackler family. Now, this is brilliant legal advice, okay?
Yeah. All right.
Because you look at this settlement, and so I want just some context. So we talked about Purdue Pharma. It's 127 years old. It's private. Started by the Sackler family. They own it. Mm-hmm. The revenue is $3 billion a year with 5,000 workers worldwide. Yeah. Now the Sackler family is worth $14 billion. Mm-hmm. So now let's look at this. So here's the deal. The lawyers say this is a get out of jail free card. Okay.
Right.
All right. So they settle with people for 10 to 12 billion. Okay. In 2,000 more than 2,000 federal, state, and local lawsuits, they settle them. Mm-hmm. They turn Purdue into a public beneficiary trust. Don't they look great? It'll pay out now forever $3 billion or more to people. They pay $3 billion of their 14, which is now they're down to 11 billion. Oh, but they get to sell their other public company or their other private company that's worth 1.5. Mm-hmm. So now they're back to $12.5 billion. Pretty good deal. Only cost you $1.5 billion to stay out of jail. The lawyers that advise these guys are brilliant.
They know what they're doing. All right.
Yeah.
Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Calling you on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
How's it going, guys? It's Mike.
Hi, Mike.
So the difference between guns and drugs is gun manufacturers don't lie. They just tell you straight up their product will kill you.
Well, that's true. They do that. They do that.
Say that.
Yeah. Is there a warning on the box of the gun's in that this can kill you? Or?
Well, it's what they were found to be deceptive, talking to their doctors, telling them about how addictive it was.
Yeah. Well, that's true, but still, I think the doctor has a responsibility to do their own research on what an opioid is and what it does. I mean,
Well, and they should know.
Well, they should know. Yeah, I think they're just
But
cashing
hey, maybe
in.
this is just how we get their taxes from them now.
That's true. Yeah, the more they make.
You know what I'd like to see, because we're talking about pharma right now. I'd like to see Trump put $1,000 tax, sales tax or whatever, tariff, $1,000 1,000% tariff on fentanyl from China. Now, how good would that be?
Well, he's already said don't send it to FedEx, and he's already warned FedEx and everybody else don't send it here. So
well, they promised us they were going to make it illegal in China now, but I don't know.
Well, that's why they walked away from that deal, because they'd have to,
big.
They don't want the U.S. telling them what laws to create.
Yeah. Well, it's just like the Taliban. Are the Taliban gonna grow poppies over there again, or what?
Of course they are.
Again, they've never stopped.
Well, I know. Yeah, supposedly that was against their religion, but when they saw the money coming in, they sort of amended Muhammad's thoughts on drugs.
Well, they do that. They do that all the time.
Well, that's true.
But so I want to report on something else. There's a meeting in southern Minnesota, my home area.
Yeah.
And all my relatives are farmers. And Sonny Perdue thought he'd break the ice at the meeting by saying a joke. And the joke was, what do you call two farmers in a basement?
Okay.
Wine cellar. A wine cellar is what he said.
Oh, that's pretty stupid.
These people are just brazen.
That is dumb as post.
And then
what was the punchline?
Wine cellar.
Oh.
And then farm bankruptcies, according to the Farm Bureau, are up 13% this year.
Yeah, that's true.
So these guys I don't know, man.
Yeah, they're clueless. They're absolutely clueless. I don't know what they're
really
thinking.
good. If they lose the farmers, then Trump's not going to win anymore.
No, that'd be true. Yeah.
All
right, thanks, Mike.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for the call. All right, appreciate it. All right, we got to take another quick break here. Charter Communications and Mercedes-Benz wants to talk to you, so we'll be right back in 90 seconds. 15 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Wednesday, August 28, 2019, 59 degrees outside. We're looking for a high in the 80s today, and Shane and I will not be here Monday, Labor Day weekend. Neither one of us will be in labor, but we'll be, I don't know, feet up with an adult beverage, probably. So.
Yeah, that's right. There you go.
From our text line, 478-8298, because they bribe doctors to sell their crap. And the doctors get kickbacks from pharma for selling their products. And that's certainly true, but wasn't there big arrests in like 4 states not too long ago, Shane, where people were buying enough amphetamines or opioids to make it noticeable that they couldn't give away that much stuff, and they put them all in prison, or tried to anyway.
Yeah, they're all being criminally charged for the resale of drugs they got from a doctor. Well,
I was going to say, if somebody. If the car or if the, like Mike was saying, the guns will kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're selling a 9mm across the counter and you say, hey, you could shoot anybody with this, it won't hurt them at all. Yeah. So I think I'd go back to that guy and say, hey, you know what? I think you're wrong on that deal.
I think you were wrong on that.
Yeah. Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Calling on the morning show with the Tom and Shane. What's up?
Are you having fun
There you
today?
are. I got you now. I'm sorry. I didn't have you turned up.
Are you having fun today?
Yes, I am having fun today.
All right.
You know that the pharmaceutical companies, they're supposed to report any suspicious activity. Okay?
Yeah.
The DEA, when you got a guy that lives in a community of 30,000 and he's selling 1 million pills a year, they're supposed to report that.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
They are. And what happened was the DEA started busting these guys. The pharmaceutical companies went to Congress and said, hey, you're killing our business here, blah, blah, blah. Lobbying Congress. Congress tells the DEA to lay off, and bang, people are dying from opioids. And to what Mike said, if you have 2 brain cells to rub together, and read the insert, the pharmaceutical company does tell you that this could kill you.
Yeah. Yeah,
and they tell you right on TV if you don't want to read the insert.
I was going to say they have a stack of lawyers saying you got to put 14 pages of disclaimers in every bottle.
It's exactly.
Well, let me make this analogy really quick. So in the 17 and 1800s, the British would ship goods to India, and then they would pick up from Afghanistan heroin and take it to China and sell it, and then buy Chinese products and head back home. So they basically, the Western countries in China's mind, it basically created this huge addiction for pop, for heroin, and, to smoke and so forth in China. So, fentanyl is not just being sent to your country by the Chinese. They're sending it all over the world. They're sending it. Yeah. This is a Chinese way of a payback of, something that happened 300-400 years ago. So that's the way the Chinese think, okay? That's just the way they think.
They really hold a grudge for a long time.
Oh, man, they hold it for a very long time.
Oh, they didn't call it opium. They called it laudanum.
That's right. Very good. In
this country,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was
because
great.
they smoked it. Yeah, because they smoked.
Yeah, here we call it peace of mind.
Yeah, piece of everything.
Very good, Eagle. That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the deal with big pharma. I mean, they.
Yeah, they are, I think they did because, as you point out, there was several arrests a few months back of people that were just buying an inordinate amount of opioids to prescribe, and
I think Illinois was one of the places where it came to light.
You're kidding me, Illinois, really?
Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
What a surprise!
Yeah, that's why you have all that problem in Chicago.
Oh,
right.
They're all drinking laudanum.
Sounds good. All right, hey, thanks, Pete.
You bet. Have a good one.
All right, take care. All right, let's take another call, then we got to get the Rush update in here. Caller, you're on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Hello, Tom and Shane. Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Quick question for the mastermind, Shane.
All right.
If pharma makes a settlement with Oklahoma, how does that justify, or how is that going to act on the other 49 states who consume still, and the federal government?
Well, that's why Johnson & Johnson has to appeal it, and that's why the Sackler family has made this deal that everyone has to sign on to, and they will because of what they're creating. Mm-hmm. Everybody thought that he'd come down like with a $17 billion charge against. Well, that would bankrupt Johnson & Johnson. Yeah. And they're going to appeal it on the same basis that Tom said, like guns. You can't accuse us for a doctor who prescribed a pill that killed somebody. That's going to be their argument all the way to the Supreme Court.
Yeah,
they have no choice.
Yeah, yeah. Well, otherwise, they would go bankrupt because there'd be lawsuits in every state against Johnson & Johnson. So they would just be out of business totally.
Well, and this is my other point: is that Walgreens, I would say last year, had their ability to sell opioids because it came to light that they were putting out more opioids than what they should be. So that he's correct. The DEA did bust for doing it. My question is, if Congress went to the DEA, DEA is under Trump's control. When did Congress tell Trump what to do?
Yeah, well, that's the question. I don't know that. I can't believe Congress would say, "Hey, slow down on any government agency." I don't know, but
well, and here's my whole point. Mm-hmm. This is such a convoluted mess. Once again, we've missed the primary cause. Yep. Lack of personal accountability.
Amen.
Amen. That's right.
Well said.
And personal choice.
Yeah, well said.
Right. And I mean, I'll take that one step further. Why do we spend millions a year telling people not to commit suicide and then kill them with taxes?
Well,
very good.
That's a good one. I like that one.
That was better than the wine joke.
Yeah.
Well, I will send you guys some cheese, and I'll talk to you later.
Okay, all right. Yeah, we want cheese with that wine.
Make sure it's Canadian, will you?
Yeah, that's right. All right, we got to get the Rush update in here, so here's Rush. 3 minutes before the top of the hour, Shane. We're just about done here. So
great day. I can't. We got to finish these last 2 topics because I want to get to North Korea.
Well, let's do North Korea now because we've only got a couple minutes. So
okay. So the Eagle Man has had this nailed, everyone, for 3 years. Okay. North Korea is not building ballistic missiles. Okay, they're getting them from China.
Right.
And if you look at all the trade negotiations, interestingly enough, North Korea fires off these rockets, right, in the midst of these conversations. So, in my mind, this whole thing now about supposedly building a ballistic missile, China wants Trump to pull a trigger on North Korea, and he's not going to do it. I mean, there's just no way. I mean, there's only one city in North Korea, it's Pyongyang or Pyongyang, the capital of 3.2 million. And it's the only city that has been built, so there's nothing there. So
nothing to destroy.
But this shows you how ruthless the Chinese are. They will go to any length to get what they want in this trade negotiations with Trump, including using North Korea to threaten everyone with their missiles. It's really these Chinese, I'm telling you.
And then they can step in and slow North Korea down and be the good guy. And Trump will be the bad guy. Yeah, exactly. So there you go. I just wanted to mention that because you called it, Eagle Man. You're the one 3 years ago. You made that call. Yeah. Well, it's pretty obvious because China's a part of the nuclear proliferation agreement, and so they can't test anything. But why not have your neighbor to the south who's not in the agreement and who's a total whack job anyway and a power-hungry dictator? Why not? Hey, you want to fire off some missiles? And oh boy, that'll be fun. Yeah. Can I do that? Can I shoot them over Guam?
Yeah, exactly.
Can I shoot them over Japan? That'll be fun.
Yeah,
Let's do that.
Anyway, I just wanted to get that out because I wanted to pat you on the back. You're the man.
All right, we're getting down to the bottom of the hour here. I want to take just a second to wish my lovely bride a 36th wedding anniversary today. Love you, baby, and a really nice deal.
Look at the smile on you.
Yeah, we're going to go out and do a little celebration tonight, so hopefully I'll be here tomorrow. So, say goodbye, Shane.
Goodbye, Mayor. We'll talk in the morning. Look forward to it always. Be happy, be safe, and God bless everyone.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Great calls, great texts, and great participation in the show. We really appreciate you guys out there because without you, we wouldn't be here. So thank you so much for supporting Shane and myself here, and we hope we're doing the job for you. So that'll do it for us. Shane and I will not be here on Labor Day. We're going to take that day off, so just an FYI for you. And but hey, tomorrow is Thursday, and we'll be here bright and early. Shane and I both will be here, absolutely, at our normal time. So we'll see you tomorrow morning, 6 a.m.